determining factor. Online play, not so much. Especially when you have just a few weeks leading up to the biggest event of the year. That's definitely something to keep in mind.
And it oftentimes will even throw players off for their first couple of warm-up games as well. It's why players get that day or two before an event to rehearse a little bit, because LAN play just feels different a lot of the time for some players compared to the online play. It's that noticeable 50 to 60 milliseconds that you would average have online. It's gone all of a sudden. It's instant, everything that happens.
People think, oh, I can just peek them all the time. I can mirror peek them very quickly. That doesn't work on LAN. You get instantly shot.
Peeker's advantage goes away to a pretty large degree once you get on zero ping matches. But we have the bans coming out now. Capitao and Montaigne. We saw a Capitao ban earlier on this map in our previous series, and we've seen it once again. It's just the Montaigne being knocked out.
I'm very curious to see how the Capitao ban ends up working at the end, especially since Mira is not in play. And Cav, oh my god. Okay. This is just to make sure that nobody's gonna play Cav on 90. Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna get knocked out.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, if you have a ban, might as well use it for something, right?
Pretty much. So they will take Caviera out of the pool. It's interesting considering things I heard prior to this game, but I don't know those for certain, so I'm not going to comment on them. We are going to start on the usual site, however. Aviator in Games Room is where we'll go off, as it's going to be G2 starting out on the defense on the first round.
So Pengu switches away to the mute. Now, because of the Legion Echo Maestro Vigil, you see it in the beginning, and then you look, oh, there's a castle. Well, which site are they going to go to? Are they going to play downstairs and kitchen for the first site and then change around? You're really trying to play the mind games against your opponents, and when it comes to Villa, you can play 3 out of the 4 sites. I'm not going to talk too much about the living room. Unless we get to it, I think it has some flaws that really show. And when it comes to high-tier competitive play, and the attackers kind of don't always understand how well to attack into it, even though they should have a huge advantage on it. But whatever. Maybe we'll get to that. We'll get to explain it. In the meantime, Kenta Ricchetti playing Vigil. You're going to have some pick-off plays here. You'll have to worry you'll have to worry for the Glass of Corey, which is very odd to see him actually playing the Operator, because guess what? Ashe is not banned. There's no combo, but this also plays very well into what KS is trying to do with his hand. I got 2 smokes. Why not play the Glass? Usually that's a ban that G2 go for, but because they went for the Capitao, might as well run the Glass.
Yep. And in addition to that, it was also 6 picked onto the Glass as well from a Luzo Blitz. Granted, to be fair, we haven't seen a whole lot of Blitz plays. They might have noticed that call out already, but they are still going to have a chance to maybe hide the Glass here at the start of the round and hopefully catch at least one player off guard with that.
Yeah, I wonder what the setup is here like for the defense of G2. I wonder how many walls they've left soft, and looks like most of them are reinforced. There we go. All 4 are reinforced in this situation, and they also reinforced in the vault. The amount of potential, though, that they have to control 90 in the hallway plus stairs in general is pretty darn huge. Pengu's in this situation also has his Legion next to him. Corey is just going to peek around using the smoke to his advantage. And this is now where it comes. Did they hide the Operator correctly? Yes, they did. But unfortunately for Corey, he's not going to be able to land much with it. At least when you have the Maverick, you're able to do something about the mute jammers that are placed behind the walls to destroy them. But you have the Habana, you're going to have to be very worried about potential impact play from the defenders and any C4s from that 4-meter high wall.
Kansas will continue to mess with Corey as he sits behind the door. They already baited out one more shot from him. They now have the Glass very much confirmed, and actually it's going to be Goga that peeks in instead, finding Corey taking out the Glass very early on in the round, giving G2 a decisive advantage now for the rest of this play-up.
That is absolutely huge there. For the Echo to get that kill, definitely not something that should be happening. Pengu and Fabian will find one of their own as well, as Pengu will take 25 damage. Veil completely missing the Echo in the back as both of our Japanese CTUs engage. I'll spot the mute in the back, and KS again playing with the CZ75 so much throughout the past few weeks. They'll find one, but they get down and taken out by Jonas. This one last alive is Veil, and Kenta Ricchetti on the Vigil. Finally, or rear his head and find the kill, and everybody's running those pizza skins. Definitely something that blends in very well.
I've heard them called like 6 different things. So
what do people call them?
I've heard spaghetti skins.
Spaghetti.
I've heard like pizza pocket skins or something like that. Like pizza rolls. Pizza rolls.
That's a very American call. That's
Stokes
an
told me
NA
that
call
one.
out.
Stokes told me that one earlier.
That's an NA call out, I guess. That's what we're gonna start to call it. What would it be? I mean, if it's EU, maybe we can call it like the pineapple pizza or something.
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of pineapple on pizza, but
No?
no?
Honestly, I think people judge it too harshly.
I just think it tastes disgusting.
Well, at least we could all unite in saying that popcorn on pizza or like caramel on pizza should not exist. So instead of finding ways to, how do you say, pick at one another's opinions, we should find ways to all get together.
There we go.
And pick on someone else. And in this case, we have to pick on MockIt because that first assault was dismal. They were able to do anything. They weren't able to utilize the glass correctly to clear the stairway hallway, and from that move on to the site. The reinforcements were all there. They had everything to try and deal with it. They had the ability to lock things down with their smokes. They also had their hard breacher in the Habana, and they should have been able to do something with it, but they got overzealous with the glass, thought that they were impervious to any bullets, and guess what? When there's an Echo in the back that's just going to peek you because it's got a suppressed weapon, you're not going to be able to do much against it. And you saw some of the setup there from Kanto. This is one of the things that we have to highlight for G2, is that the players are extremely flexible on the operator picks. They will play anything and everything, and they're always going to excel at it, and that's what you get by having a team like this. Kanto Rocketti sets up some of the most standard Evil Eyes on this map. Just because you see the drop hatches that are underneath them, as you can see here, you can break them open and then not allow the attackers to deal with them unless they utilize something like a Zofia or an Ashe, for example, charges there to deal with it. And in this case, none of them are available, which means you're not going to really be able to do much against them. But defense in the opposite end, some damage done here to Rips, just really to keep MockIt on their toes, as Kanto just lurking in the back, and MockIt not clearing the opposite end of the map at all. And this is a huge problem.
This is going to allow for a very easy pullback for the members of G2 and get them into the site. As you were mentioning, MockIt is going for a very one-dimensional push right now. They have managed to at least get themselves into the walk-in and master bedroom, but it's really only the first step here. They are starting to push in toward the first floor as well to add a little bit of pressure here. And I would imagine eventually pinch onto Astronomy, but it's Goga reading into the hole that's blown open by the Maverick, immediately firing back and knopping out Rips.
This is the thing, just to mention Emzo for a second. Holes work both ways, and guess what? They worked very well there for the Echo of Goga. Yet again, Pengu trying to move in through the smoke to bait out Corey as the Yokai is helping him in the back. This is the kind of teamwork you're looking for, but Pengu shot behind the wall, unfortunately, will go down to Corey, and this will force Fabian to move into his position and set up close to the wall. He's got 2 impact grenades to use as well, but because Goga, or well, in this case, Vale on the attack is running the Habana, he had already used his utility on the bottom side. The Twitch will move in and will find the kill on Yunus, taking a decent chunk of damage, but Kanto is still alive and looking for the refrag. He sprays in and finds Cryan. It's a 3-3. The advantage of health, though, is all for MockIt.
Vale going to try to force the issue on the diffuser here. The problem is they're continuing to lose more and more players, KS being the most recent victim. Corey, however, still able to find impact, knocking out Goga as well, but not eliminating him just yet. Leaves only Kanto alive in a 1v2 situation, but the good news is both Vale and Corey are incredibly low, and he even has position to be able to move back and get the full res off onto Goga, bring him back into the fold. Now this is going to waste a decent amount of time from the post plant. Very minimum. They now have the 2 players to work with here, as Corey, once again, looks to cut these players off as quickly as possible. Vale, no! Gets the better of him, as we do see him taking down Corey with the trade, but Goga on the flank knocks him out. There should be enough time for this defuse, and with that, we'll see G2 come out on top as Goga finishes off the final 1v1.
It's a beautiful play from Corey, but guess what? Not only did he not knock out the Echo, guess what was still behind him? There's a Yokai.
Yep.
The Yokai in the bedroom was pinging it the whole time, and they were getting the information of the position of the glass this entire time. And yeah, once you have info, all it takes is the aim, and the aim exists for both teams here. It's just MockIt did not know where the attack was coming from G2, the counter-attack that is. And maybe this might be the time for MockIt to think, okay, if we're going to have to deal with this Echo consistently, maybe we should bring an IQ instead of the Twitch in this situation. And no, Thatcher, it's still some sort of counter, but it's not as perfect as you like it to be.
We'll also see the mute go over to the smoke for Pengu. Not as massive of a change coming in for there, but now playing through the first 2 upstairs sites will take us down into the kitchen for our 3rd and final one before G2 is allowed to rotate back up to the Aviator and Games Room, with the usual unlock coming in after 2 additional rounds being played out. And still good start here for G2. Obviously a little bit of a messier round on them, but as you said, with the Yokai drone left alive, they still had a very easy way to close down that post plant in the 2v2 and take control of a second round for themselves. For MockIt, it's obviously a much better increase in their own performance, especially when you compare it to the first round when they were barely even able to get outside of study, approaching the Aviator Games Room, but they still have some more work to do, especially now that they're on the downstairs sites.
Yeah, so you're playing Kitchen in this case. What is very easy to spot? Now, I say this so many times. If you're playing Vela and you're not holding on to Bedroom, even as an entryway into different sites, you're doing it wrong. And in this case, there's reinforcements in the back to allow statuary play from the defenders, and also, if they happen to lose this part, to at least have some sort of barrier for the attackers to have to go through. Now, MockIt, as you've seen before, kind of start off very one-dimensionally. At least they'll have Thatcher to allow them to move in, but the hatch is open, and guess what? There's a Yokai above that's going to watch them. Perfectly played here from Goga. He'll ferry in another Yokai and actually keep it alive just to keep MockIt on their toes as they keep tagging them, but it's Rips to find the first kill. Cantor Ricketti removed, and you're out of sight roam play. The Vigil is going to get taken out.
First phone call more than likely going to be coming in right now as MockIt will use this to push forward again, primarily still using the glass as their pushing power here with Corey on it. The second smoke also deployed. Gets an easy lock onto Fabian to take him down. And already a much better round is forming here for MockIt, but the first trade is coming from G2, found by Goga. KS, a good position against one of the members of G2, but unable to finish off the kill and execute. So they'll stay alive and at full HP. A nice nade goes out against Corey, taking him down, and Jonas will finish off the frag. Bring it down into a 3v3 now that G2 have evened it out and forced MockIt to fall back, but there is a great kill from Cryan on the way out of the building as he takes down Goga.
The information is still available here for G2. They have the Yokai and they also have the Pulse that can feed them info, but Jonas will opt to just hold the angles as Pengu is watching the front doorway here of the laundry. He'll get spotted by the drone, but Cryan might just want to use this time to get up onto the bedroom and destroy the floorboard with the breaching charges. He has all the time in the world, and Pengu is going to make it even easier for them. Cryan will find the kill, and Jonas now last in. Cryan will just try to dive into the side. Jonas will find one, but Rips in the back. Trades it out. Well done by MockIt on the offensive, realizing that, okay, we have 2 left. We can use the breaching charge to our advantage. However, once they had everything on lockdown, they dropped out from statuary and started to assault the site itself, utilizing the extra manpower as best as they can. And this proves that MockIt might be down, but they're not out just yet. And that glass play from Corey is magnifique, wonderful.
Very nice. We did see him picking up at least 1 frag there and certainly started to push the defenses back from G2, opened up a lot more room for MockIt to work with. Unfortunately, did find himself eliminated from a nade a few moments after the fact, but this was after the impact was already made. It's going to be a similar operator lineup for G2 as they now head back to the Aviation Games Room setup now that they've completed the rotation and still have a solid 2-1 advantage. Now, you remember, this was by far the weakest attack we'd seen so far from MockIt. It was also the first round, though, so they may have already figured out the issue and look for a better path to take on this second attempt.
Yeah, and the big issue was, how do we deal with the defenders that are quote-unquote anchoring outside of the site? For a lot of people, when you hear anchor, it's just, oh, we're just going to stay on the site and try to play on it. Well, you can use, the anchor can be anywhere. It has to just be in the water. In this case, you just have to have it in a power position. And guess what? The staircase, the hallway, 90, those are all anchor positions where you can just hold on to a significant part of the map. Now, I'm surprised that we don't see any buck play, for example, from MockIt in this situation where they can use all of this to their advantage and use that self-destruction. And this is what I was talking about before. This time it's Jonas playing the Maestro instead of what we saw Kanto doing before. Because you destroy the hatch, now you have to sacrifice utility to take out the Evil Eye or expose yourself way too much to take down that piece of utility. Guess what? MockIt not going to have anything to deal with it. And what you see from G2 is that sometimes they'll bring the smoke, sometimes they'll bring the mute. And it just seems like, okay, we want the shotgun, but it depends on what sort of utility we're looking for. Great play for MockIt to identify, okay, there's no Bennett, there's no mute. We're just going to enter and have the angle for us to use.
There's already 1 hole popped open by the ex-Kairos, allowing for access here for MockIt. It's just about getting past Study, which was the major obstacle for them in the last round. Canton, meanwhile, able to simply go back down and again deny a little bit of intel. And in the meantime, MockIt starting to commit, but it's not looking like this is going to be the one-dimensional take that we saw before. They are still playing with the first floor as well to leave options open, and specifically Corey trying to play out the windows. Of course, he does have to be careful of a potential flank that would come against him from the master bedroom window, which is why he goes back to check that afterwards. But it's Jonas and Fabian that pick up 2 quick kills before the response comes in from Rips. A little bit late on that bedroom flank that we saw attempting to try and take out the Glaz, but it won't find its mark this time as the Glaz is already dealt with.
Yeah, minute 44, the Legion has deployed around 4 of his goo mines, so around half of them. It's not too shabby for this sort of defense, so you have them in your power positions in the hallways. But KS being able to hack the camera is definitely going to be something G2 will worry about. It's because the Maestro is affected by it, not the Echo, however, because lore, and that's how it works. In the meantime, Veil is going to open up parts of the wall here, possibly. They still have 1 logic bomb. They still have to worry about Kanto's flanks. With that extra manpower, and because you have 3 anchors in the Echo, the Maestro, and the Smoke on G2's side, you can push Kanto away and put him in another position. However, he's actually going to double down and sit right by that B bomb site just so they can use that utility to their advantage. Logic bomb will come out and the Smoke will try to push in as KS is so low on HP. No, just going to play from behind and turn off the phones for now.
And again, this is the stall point that MockIt ended up reaching in the previous round that was played on this site as well. They've approached it in the same fashion. They don't have a clean way to get themselves past study. They're relying, I think, a little bit on KS to try and do that for them, but even he's not in a great enough position to be able to do this now as the time continues to roll down. Only just now seeing the first of the smokes coming out as well. With the time approaching the 30-second mark, Goga will find another easy kill against Rips, slowly limiting that potential for their opponents even more. Kanto getting ready to peek into this as well, finds the spot, drops the diffuser. Yes, KS does get a trade, but it matters not, as Pengu will immediately jump out the door into the 90 hall and finish out the round again for G2.
Yeah, and Pengu had tabs on this the entire time. He knew there was somebody in there. It's just a matter of time of when KS will peek. He even used the smoke to try and tag him through the wall, which is something that actually works. He was able to do a tiny bit of damage on KS, but he was already fairly low, so a single bullet at that range would have been more than enough to finish off the commander, I guess, of the squad, the star player of the squad so far. At least the one that's been around through the whole changes that they've gone through. It's actually pretty impressive. Not because we're trying to, you know, talk up a lot of the strategies and a lot of the history of these two teams. MockIt have gone through so many changes in the past year. It's absolutely insane. And actually, KS, for people that haven't been around back then, used to play on G2. However, and they actually won a Pro League together. However, or 2, to be completely clear. However, once he was removed after the Sao Paulo finals, Season 6, they went to Invitational. He was able to qualify with this team back then, 1UP, which is now kind of part Penta, part MockIt, I guess, kind of a mix, and landed in the same group as G2 last year. This year, they land again in the same group with a different lineup for both teams, which is pretty huge. Now, this is what I like from MockIt. I talked about the IQ, I talked about the Zofia, and guess what? Finally, they realized that there was a problem. They can now deal with Maestros, and the most important part of Zofia, fairly underutilized by a lot of people that play the operator, the ability to stun lock your opponents in positions where they cannot move away, and you're able to find kills on them, and I really like that pottery position, actually.
For the yokai, yeah?
Yeah, there's quite a few sneaky places like that around a lot of the Pro League maps that you can use to your advantage.
Well, in addition to bringing the IQ and the Zofia, the Thatcher is still in play as well to further increase their capabilities, try and knock out some of the gadgets that G2's been using quite a bit of throughout the course of this map so far, and of course dominating on it with a 3-1 lead. So far, flawless on the upstairs sites, only losing downstairs in Kitchen, and that was played 2 rounds back.
I love the play coming in from the office, and there you go. Rips will find the first kill. Kanto's down. Huge operator down exchange for that amount of health. Completely worth it. Now those Evil Eyes, you can't change their positions anymore, and you take away arguably the best gun in the game away from the defense of G2, and Kanto won't have an impact anymore on the round. And that is the big change that MockIt should have done before when they were attacking on the site. They realized, okay, the Glaz is nice, but that's not really the approach that we should be taking. We should be getting map control, and Goga is going to make it more difficult as he at least finds the refrag. Rips is out. You can't use those Gushmot mines anymore as Zofia is dead.
They'll be able to pop up, open one hole with the X. Kairos will look to do a second in just a moment to open up Statuary. for his team to eventually push into her at the very minimum to give them a better angle to play off of in the late round when they go for the execute here. A minute and a half left, so still a healthy amount of time for them to get into position. They do need to speed it up a bit, considering that they're still even in the 4v4. A lot of intel still needs to be gained. I don't imagine the drones would have found a whole lot on the inside just yet, and it's Fabian taking the up-close battle from the inside of the master bathroom, knocking out Cryan.
Yeah, I heard him squirming around on the floor as Legion was just standing there and waiting for him. Should have been a call from the Dokkaebi to try to help it, and now the goo mine, you step into it, and Fabian's already way too far away for you to deal with him. You lose the Thatcher, it's not the end of the world, but your late rounds flank launch is now taken away, and guess what? Now you lose the AQ. Goga might be down, but he's gonna get picked back up at 50 health, and you're gonna have the yokais available with you not really being able to deal with them at all. Logic Bomb, one of them, still remaining for KS, can use that to his advantage, but Vale is just watching, turns away at the wrong time. KS will go down, and Fabian will find the second. Beautiful play from Fabian, actually. The mind games of not just playing aggressively, it's a passive-aggressive kind of way, which is a perfect way to describe Fabian in general. Sit close. Okay, you're going to open up holes. I am going to sit near them, and I will wait for you because you feel comfortable. It is mind games at its rawest. You think, okay, I have the angle. Nobody's going to peek me through it. I can hold it. I have an ACOG. I have everything. And then guess what? He's literally right next to you, waiting for you to make that move. The moment you feel too confident or too comfortable, that is when Fabian strikes.
And it works perfectly to bait him into multiple kills throughout the course of the round, in addition to just tearing apart what was looking like it would have been a relatively successful clear from MockIt at the start with the elimination of Kanto in the early round. Once again, though, those operators are going to flip hands a little bit, with Jonas now picking up the Maestro, and Vigil, once again, being the mantle for Kanto Raketti as they head down into the kitchen for the second time to see if they can at least get a fifth round onto the board here and come out of their defensive half with a very strong 5-1 lead over MockIt right now, who unfortunately has failed to find impact on those second floor sites at all.
Pengu moving over to the mute. Again, I touched on it before, but it really does depend on how you want to play. The fact that Mute got that SMG-11, it just means you can be very flexible. Mute, Smoke, they do different things, obviously, but the ability to have the shotgun for that SimCity quote-unquote setup that you're going to do in and around the site is pretty huge, and that's exactly what you're going to see Pengu doing here, just to open up more angles for him and his teammates to play later on in the round, and signal disruptors deny a lot of information, and also make it a bit more difficult for the Heartbreachers to open up walls, even though they're the Thatcher, but also protect you from potential calls from KS for just a few seconds.
The SMG-11 has also proven itself to be a pretty popular gun throughout the course of this tournament. We've been seeing a lot of incredibly long-range kills as well, with people just sniping each other throughout the course of rooms, and it's been mainly coming in from mutes as well. So,
guess what? It was better before, and it had an ACOG.
I was told about this yesterday.
Yes. So everybody's, oh, why can't we have that back? No.
You don't want that back.
No, you really don't. That aside, MockIt are going to try to move in. This time, they go back to that quote-unquote tried and tested setup with the glass. So maybe this is something that's going to work for them again, as they were able to successfully attack the site after they neutralized quite a few of the roaming players from G2. Now Rip's coming in, he's going to get tagged by the Legion Goo Mine, but Kanto Raketti is trying to fight at the top floor. He finds the head for just a second, but the hesitation might have just cost them a huge advantage here, MockIt.
Comes the walk-in, however, from Cord, just to take out some of the barbed wire. He still has his second smoke to toss out as well, but it will not find anywhere close to the success it did the last time this site was played. Pengu immediately takes him out with a nitro cell. And again, it's an early advantage to G2, and MockIt, a false start, not finding any real ground to work with on their first attempts to take control of the building. Kanto Raketti as well on the inside here, still going to be biding time, whereas Vale, along with some of the other members of MockIt, still going to be looking to push themselves to the inside, commit to a push here, but it really seems like they're struggling to find any entry route.
I like the double reinforcements that Pengu put up on the hallway, actually downstairs. It really allows them to just play into the site, but also chuck up utility from that 4-meter high wall, as you see here on your right-hand side. That's pretty darn good. Now you can play inside of the art room, basically, and instead of putting yourself always in the dining room and in the kitchen, you kind of can spread out and play the horizontal game. This is very similar to how you play open area on Banked, for example, where the strategy is spread the butter and you go all on horizontal when it comes to the site play. And Goga just spraying down, make sure opponents stay back for as long as possible, but the Pantry at least is in control of KS. Kanto will find one more kill. Cryin shot down. And look at how low Rips is on HP. Fabian will find the kill on Vale, and the Kumai will detect KS for just a second. He sprays. He finds Pengu, but Fabian is ready to go for the cross and rotates in to find the kill. Former teammates taking one another out. There you go. G2 will take the first half in a very dominating 5-1. However, this is Villa, right? Defensive sided, all of that. Some teams, well mentioned yesterday, EG and Lustream, kind of showed that it doesn't really work that way all the time. But in the majority of things, the majority of times, statistically speaking, the numbers don't lie, and the defense have an advantage. And G2 putting up 5 rounds on the board is pretty huge.
Pretty huge advantage indeed, and unfortunately a lot of that coming down to them being able to restrict MockIt so heavily cause a constant fear for MockIt players to want to take any type of duel whatsoever, causing them to play an incredibly passive attack side where G2 was allowed to pretty much have their way with most of the map throughout the course of those 6 rounds. The one exception being the first time they played on Kitchen, where the Glaz finally was able to find good impact. Besides that, unfortunately, the Glaz, despite it finally being left in the pool, it's definitely been a popular band so far throughout Invite.
Yep.
Just did not find the impact I think the guys were hoping for over on MockIt.
I mean, G2 going for their own ban on the Capitale, I'm not sure if it had a huge effect on the way that MockIt were trying to strategize, but it kind of showed, because I touched on this before, but if you look at all the bans that G2 make for pretty much most of their games, they always ban the Glass. They just don't like playing against Glass, which is understandable. You know, he can see you through smokes. Dokkaebi also is a big pick on this map, just because you can clear out so much roam using those calls if you use them effectively. But you also have the smokes to double up on it. So, yeah, it is something that kind of caught MockIt off guard, but we'll see how Pengu's Blitz actually works. Because if you think that he's scary on the Monty, if used correctly, G2 can have even more of an impact with this sort of op, and you see it's a lot of speed and violence that's being set up with the operators.
Let's find out, because we haven't seen a successful Blitz play, at least not a super successful Blitz play as of yet. So far throughout Invite, it's only been a few times that we've seen him picked up and attempted to be utilized primarily by EG in yesterday's matchup. This will be one of the first times I think we see G2 try to bring it onto the table.
Goga just droning in, making sure there's nobody in the main entrance, setting up some late round rotation drones as well for him. The Blitz gonna rear his head here, and Corey will spot him. Pengu actually taking a decent chunk of damage. Can't really flash that far away, and Fabian, what a shot, playing the Ash. Definitely an off-brand operator for him. Crying in the back here. Why did they have this hole open? They have the entirety of the vault open for them to fight, and Vale will find one on Jonas all the way across. Advantage going the way of MockIt. Look at the amount of health left on Fabian. Again, he'll get shot down. Rips holding off a 90 in the back. Grenades can't even deal with them in this situation, as Jonas was already dead. You don't have any of that to run for you. At least Kanto will find one, but Gogo will be lost. And the carry Rocket is all on his own versus 3. So little health left. Diffuser's in the middle of the hallway. Yeah, I don't think even the best player in the world can win out such a position. Look at the amount of angles that are being held by the defense, and the instant he vaults in for it, it's going to get shot down. There you go. Crying right in the shins. Kanto Raketti will go down, and MockIt will pick up their second round. Very convincing round.
Nice job by MockIt reading the play from G2 pretty much like a book. They're quickly dealing with the pressure from the Blitz, and then in addition to that, being able to handle it with the wide open position that they left for themselves inside of the vault. Still worked out though. Got them quite a few kills by the window. And now, with a struggle like that happening, we're going to see a pretty quick tactical timeout already called by G2. Despite this only being one round into their attack, they do feel uncomfortable with the way that it played out, so they're going to take a second to discuss it.
All right. So again, for people that are not too familiar with the timeout rules that we have, each team gets 1 timeout per map. So you get to use those 60 seconds to your advantage. However, once you call a tactical timeout, to talk to your coach, and that's why you do it. You can always talk between one another, but to have contact with your coach, someone that is sitting and watching everybody from an outside perspective, definitely something that can give you an advantage, especially when someone like Shaz is on the board. However, MockIt can also use that time to their advantage. The timeout, much like holes and angles, works both ways. So definitely something to keep in mind, which means that MockIt will have a tactical timeout available for them should the need arise to use it. Will there be a 6th pick? Yes, the Jackal. Moving over to the Ash. The Dokkaebi from... Oh, this is huge. Fabian is one of the few players in the world, but specifically EU, that still runs SMG-12's Dokkaebi. The only other player that I can really see and talk about as in having a huge impact is this team's Aces. Maurice does a ton of damage to that SMG-12. You've seen it yesterday, and you've seen it all the time in Pro League. Fabian is the other one, and he plays Dokkaebi, a flank Dokkaebi, extremely well. There's a lot of matches you could watch him playing, for example, on Clubhouse, where just walk around the entire enemy team, find the flanks, use the calls effectively to his advantage, and you can kind of start making sense of it. He's the in-game leader. If he can hear the calls, he can coordinate his teammates to try and clear the roamers that are positioned in X or Y position. And especially now, as you have to deal with the pulse downstairs, definitely something that could come in handy.
We'll see where Rips plays into his position a little bit later on. More than likely, they may find him going down to the basement, although it's starting to become less and less common as it's been found out more and more, and teams oftentimes look to counter an out because of the fact that obviously he's still left alone down there. In fact, it's been droned out first just to check for this. So it's actually smart that we haven't seen Rips go down here this early, as he already droned out and would have been forced upstairs where, as you can see.
Just seeing the reinforcement though, Fabian's going to be able to know, okay, there's a reinforcement here, there's a reason why it's there. You're not going to just randomly put a reinforcement there because in general, this site here on Aviator Game Room requires a lot of reinforcements. So you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to use your calls for it. Now it just ends up playing like, how are you going to coordinate your teammates? And you're going to see one run up real close here. SMG-11 in hand is Kanto to win it. My, KS's head was going to get shot right off of his shoulders. And Fabian will find the second core. He eliminated downstairs. The Jaeger playing solo will go down. Rips will try to fall back as Fail will find one on Jonas. And the second Goga taken out. Wonderful fair play from MockIt to try and bring this one back in a 3v3, but the Blitz of Pengu is already in. He's holding the Fuser on the site, taking so much damage. But Rips will find one more. Crying from below. Does not have a Nitro Cell. Yes, he does. Pengu will find one on Veil, clearing out the site. 2 Nitro Cells available and a Pulse. A perfect combination. But now, can they find Pengu on the plant? Are there any bits of utility? Rips, what a shot! Pengu will go down on the shield, and now it's all up to the in-game leader as Rips so close to finding the head of Fabian. He's going to fall back and try to use his teammate to his advantage, and crying the C4 from downtown. Fabian's going to get shot down, and MockIt, what a beautiful anchor into roam, into reverse anchor counter play. This is some NFL kind of stuff here. This is absolutely fantastic the way MockIt played it. They just moved around the map like it was nothing.
Never even really had a commitment to the site, to defending that for the most part from what we were seeing. Just playing, as you mentioned, a massive roaming game throughout the halls there, and it worked out so well to not even necessarily dominate G2, but at the very minimum just to keep the trades well enough so that they would have control over the map and would still be able to roam freely, allowing them to pull off those kills multiple times in a row throughout the course of the round.
And guess what? Having the Pulse definitely aids in that. I mean, you can literally see where they are, and you have 2 Nitro Cells. If that isn't plant denial potential right there, I don't know what is. And again, it's a combination of the map helping the defenders in this sort of way, but also it's not as cut and dry as, you know, you just kind of explain it that way. MockIt played it in a very smart way where they're able to bait G2 into the site and then use what utility they had prepared for it to win the round. And that's how you should be doing as a defender. That's how the defenders end up getting so many rounds on their side, is because they're able to mostly play it smartly. And this is what MockIt is able to do. 3 to 5, not impossible for them to try and turn it around. And we've seen how overtimes have been heading here at Invitational 2019. The group stage itself has already been very heart-pumping, to say the least. Maybe this is going to be another one between the two EU, at least Season 8 giants.
We will certainly see, but this is where we ended up seeing G2 fall apart back on the first half, was on the first floor defense of the kitchen. MockIt may very well suffer from those same issues if they're not careful about it. Obviously, we don't see the same operator lineup. It's a little bit different than what G2 has brought to the table. Still favoring the blitz on Pengu, as you can see. along with bringing a pretty similar lineup to what we had in the previous rounds as well. Having to deal with that kitchen push, but they won't have the power of the glass that what we saw in the previous rounds. Definitely not something that we'll be seeing them utilize just as of yet.
Now Fabian trying to use the call to his advantage, and guess what? Rips knows exactly where he is. He can call out for Corey to go for a run out, but none of that will happen. There's, of course, the window that you can use to your advantage, and Fabian's going to put himself in a better position so he does not get tagged early on. He spots the edge of the rifle here from the Jaeger, the 416, and the instant Corey tries to move, he's going to get shot down. Cantor Roketti nicely done to find the hole from the back and actually penetrates into the dining room. There's nobody to deal with him here. KS will find one on Jonas, but it's inconsequential. Fabian will find another. You take out the buck, soft destruction out of the board, but the site is already under control for those attackers. And guess what? There's still C4 available for Cryan. It's going to be up to MockIt to try and retake their own site before the diffuser is even set. Kanto will tag the smoke as KS will try to rotate around, and by the chassis will get shot down. Kanto Roketti finding the headshot. Cryan firing in, taking down Fabian at 75 health. Barbed wire in the back pocket, no, already been used. And Nitro Cell nowhere to be found. The blitz in the back of Pengu just taunting the bandit. The two GSG9 operators. And guess what? Goga and Kanto are already in post-plant positions. Cryan moves in and instantly into the fire of Kanto Roketti. And Yohani will find it all. The fact that he was able to get into the dining room that easily is just baffling.
Just walks right in for the most part as well. Zero contention against him. And after that, everyone else from G2 piles on top of that, and there's just no room left at that point. Already too many players lost at that point in the round as well for MockIt to be able to try and bargain their way back into it. Just too much control too quickly by G2, leaving MockIt out in the cold.
And guess what? That was all because of Fabian. Fabian ran the Dokkaebi, made the calls, and those calls, they were cash money. It just allowed Kanto to use the audio pickup to his advantage. Be like, I can't hear anybody on the site. There must not be anyone there. Because they know there's no mute. Walk in, take control of the site, and guess what? Now you're anchoring for your attackers to try and come into it, and it's going to be an easy plant for you because now you're holding the cross angles. Fabian's also on the window. You also have an opening into the pantry. All the angles are playing in your way, and this is how you should be playing. You use the operator to give you the information and then be able to smartly use that information to your advantage. And the tactical timeout will be called by MockIt, as you'll see the squad talking together, at least trying to fix stuff. It's a tactical timeout, not a technical one.
Yeah.
So
They did call for it might be both, as far as I'm aware.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if overlay-wise we have a difference between the two, but there you go. At least our referee here is trying to make sure. And no, it was a tactical timeout. You saw the coach in the back just taking away his microphone and the headset, and then having it turned off by the referee.
I think, as you were mentioning before, the main point of the pause is to get that input from the coach, who's very much looking at this game from an out-of-match perspective, and very much has time to think in greater detail compared to something like the IGL, who obviously still has to worry about actually playing the game. He's able to think about the things that might have been going wrong, come up with better ideas to give to the IGL, and then translate those into strats.
Apparently there was some technical issue as well, but I believe everything is fixed. There you go. And we should be heading back into the game in just a second. 6-3, advantage for G2. They are on map point here. Our first one in this series. That's in Villa. A map G2 is pretty darn good at, even though they have some rocky history on it. If you look at the Paris Major, which is, I guess, the second most important event of the entire year, at least for 2018 and now moving into 2019 with the Invitational, they played the map against Pentasports. They lost it in the group stage. They got demolished on it. Back then, you didn't win with 7 rounds, you won with 6.
Yeah.
So it was a 6-0 advantage for Pentasports. And we're like, wow, what is going on? And then they end up winning the whole series. That was the only map they dropped in the entire tournament, from start to finish, throughout the group stage, quarters, semis, grand final against EG. A game everybody was looking forward to, and guess what? 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. Absolute demolishing from G2. Then they have a bit of a rocky play and a rocky start to the season. They don't run it too well. They lose it to Secret. Now we'll see if they have the advantage to clean things up finally. 7-3 is what they're looking for, and I like the fact that we're seeing the Zofia here.
Absolutely, that'll be coming into play. We do have, as you can tell, folks, a bit of a technical delay on this one, so we're working on fixing it as quickly as possible. It's, because you can't tell with the headphones off, it is a bit of a sound issue, so we are working on fixing that. And
I think you should be plugging that into the computer. Now, I am no technical operator here. However, I'm a bit tech savvy.
Are those the headphones, though? That should be the white noise machine, then, isn't it? The headphones?
Yeah. For people that don't know, actually, there's quite a few people that ask the question, like, oh, why do they wear the earphones and then the headphones on top? Well, your earphones are what you use to hear what's in the game. The headphones emit white noise just so you can't hear what's going on around you, and it's going to play quite a bit more of an effect once you get into the main stage later on during this week, just because you want to drown out the sound of the audience. And here, because there's 2 matches going on and there's reactions and so many casting booths at the same time, you also kind of need it to block off any potential disruptions or information that you might get. And that's why you have to have it active. It's just active noise canceling. And for people that fly around quite a bit, get active noise canceling headsets or earphones. Trust me, they are lifesavers. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to get the 2.5 hours of sleep that I got from Frankfurt to Montreal to be able to come here.
You're a big advocate for noise canceling headphones.
Oh my god, I didn't believe in them until I used them myself.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few reasons, and number 5 will shock you.
All right, we'll ask you about that later as we're getting back into it. As you had mentioned, it's G2 on match point here for their attack, as they will have the opportunity to shut things down and claim map number 1 into their own favor. Obviously still needing to win at least that second map if they like that easy exit to their group and the easy slot in the quarterfinals with a high seed coming outside of the group.
Alrighty then, Vale with the standard setup here, the Evil Eyes. We'll see one that is set up near the B bomb. And of course, you set up there in the trophy, it allows you to hold all the way in the entry and bedroom. There's some pretty sneaky strats that you can do with Maestro. I've kind of dug through a lot of the stuff here. I don't like the second Maestro that he set up in 90, however, because it leaves it fairly open to be taken out. Just because you can kind of use your utility against it, but no matter where he would have put it, by the hatch or not. Fabian is running the Ash, Kanto is running the Zofia. There's a lot of potential for soft destruction. You see the map, there's a lot of walls that you're reinforcing. But guess what? You don't actually need so much hard destruction, and having the Ash and the Zofia comboing together, meaning that you can just unlock the Bandit if he wants to go for Bandit tricks. If you didn't know, if you get Gizmodded by the Zofia, if you're a Bandit and you're trying to Bandit trick and destroy any X-Kairos that are being set on the wall, well, it cancels the animation. You can't really do much with it. And whoa, nice hunting here from Fabian as he'll find Corey early on. The Jaeger so far away, playing downstairs in the wine cellar, a position we've seen popularized quite a bit by Canadian on EG. Suddenly is the first thing you do to clear things out. A huge bit of play here for G2 that'll give them a huge advantage early on in potentially the last round.
Meanwhile, Pengu already has good control over master bedroom, not necessarily feeling the push inside of the bathroom just as yet, but that'll more than likely be the wraparound route for these guys as they'll move into astronomy afterwards. Just trying to drone things out first. They've detected the 2 on the inside. They've got the intel they need. Now it's not committing to the push here. Obviously still a minute and a half left, so they're not going to be pressured as of yet, but at the very minimum, the drone presence and the lurk inside of the bathroom itself is forced out.
There you go, the Bandit trick.
There we go. It's going to go down. It will only stop 4 of them, though. So 2 pellets will still explode to make a small hole in the wall.
And guess what? That is actually more than enough. Now suddenly you kind of pin everybody down in the one position, and Fabian from below will find the kill on Rips, using as well the Zofia from the back to give them info and lock the players down. KS in the meantime, though, will put himself in the same position as we saw his teammates fall into. The pistol in the back, the M45. Can't KS? No, they line up for him. He'll find 2 kills, but Jonas with the refrag. Fail is last alive. I'll be faced with a shield in front. Long-range rifle, the OTS-03. Cantor Ricchetti as well to try and push in, but no. It's the pistol, the pocket sniper rifle, the PMM from Jonas. That'll clear things out for our very first map in the series. 7-3 will be the scoreline between